Can I welcome everyone to this meeting of the South Wales and Fire Rescue Authority being held today on the 20th of December 2021 at 10:30. Could I ask if there's any apologies, please, Sarah?
Ali, Colburn, Herbie Thomas, Spencer, Sally Chapman, Dewi Rose.
Thank you. Anyone else got any other apologies for anyone?
No, we have been advised that Councillor Hodgins may join the meeting late.
Thank you. Could we have a roll call, Sarah, please?
Certainly. Just checking that Councillor Hodgins hasn't joined yet. No. Councillor Shaw.
Yes, present. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor White.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Davies.
I'm here, as you would.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Ellsbury. Councillor Hussey.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Lister. No, I can't hear Councillor Lister. Councillor Norton.
Here.
Thank you. Councillor Williams.
Here.
Thank you. Councillor Brown.
Present.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
This is for attendance. Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Councillor Bradwick.
I'm here present. Just
Thank
about.
you. Just about. Nice to see you. Councillor Morgans.
Present. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Councillor Holmes.
In attendance, yep.
Thank you. Councillor Roberts.
Yes, present.
Thank you. Councillor Evans.
Yeah, I'm present.
Thank you. Councillor Molson. Councillor Molson? No. Councillor Drake?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Jarvie?
Present.
Thank you. And also we're joined by Councillor Diarth.
Hello, present.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Right, item 3, declaration of interests. Members of the Fire Rescue Authority are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare both orally and in writing any personal or prejudicial interests in respect of the matters contained in the agenda in accordance with the provision of the Local Government Act 2000, the Fire and Rescue Authority's standing orders and members' code of conduct. Are anyone got any declaration of interest?
Yes, I have, Chair, regarding the things in Newing, because I sit on the planning committee in my authority, and the road network, which was mentioned in the scrutiny report.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? No? Right, I'll go on to Chair's announcements. On Wednesday, the 24th of November, it was a pleasure to attend the headquarters to see a Group Manager, Sean Moody, receive a well-deserved British Empire Medal from the Lord Lieutenant of Mid Glamorgan, Mr. Peter Vaughan. Sean received the BAM on the Queen's Birthday Honours List of 2020, a good year for such accolades. Sean was recognised for his outstanding contribution in search and rescue and internationally, locally. Sean has been hugely successful on the UK and the world stage in the vehicle extradition, and also led UK deployment in international countries hit by natural disasters such as Nepal and New Zealand, to name but a few. On behalf of the Fire and Rescue Authority, I would like to offer Sean our congratulations on his British Empire Medal, and also thank his family for his support I know that they provided to him. I met Sean on a number of occasions. In fact, when he made his speech, I didn't realise how much he had achieved. This is just putting it mildly what I read out to you. In fact, he should be put in the House of Lords, I think. If you can to get a night for kicking a penalty, then I think Sean should have had it as well. It was a fantastic evening, his family there and everyone else. So I felt like I'm very proud of Sean. Members are no doubt aware from their home authorities that this year's pay award for the Green Book staff has not been agreed. Like local authorities, the Fire Authority has been served with a notice of intent from the Unison Union that they will now ballot their members for strike action. The members recall from a previous Fire Authority meeting that we'd hopefully be able to attend the pass-out parade of our newest whole-time firefighters. Regrettably, with the concerns over this new strain of COVID-19, no guests were able to attend that last week. The 24 trainees successfully passed out last Thursday in front of the Chief Fire Officer and a few senior officers. As a service, we are able to stream the event to the family, friends and loved ones of the trainees. Whilst I know members will be disappointed and not being able to attend, we wish all the trainees the very best of their chosen career as an operational firefighters here in South Wales. And I know they will serve our communities with pride and professionalism. From a previous briefing, members will be familiar with the Welsh Government ambition for firefighters across Wales to provide greater assistance to the NHS. There has been progress in this area through the development group, and the Minister Fire Advisor has recently published a thematic review which will ask the Chief Fire Officer to give us a brief overview and ask that the paper be presented at the next Fire Authority meeting in the new year. Just one sec, I get in trouble. The service has been through a carbon reduction and sustainability audit, and I know that Councillor Dave White has took a full and active role. Can I ask Dave to say a few words regarding the audit and extensive work that the ongoing across the services in this important area? Davey?
Yes, Chair. Myself and Gerard had a meeting with the auditors regarding the environment and the role that the fire service plays in reducing our own carbon footprint and also the community's footprint. You know, it was a very much, I understand both auditors are at today's meeting. It was a very challenging meeting, and I'm not saying we were doing everything right. I like to think that I got across, myself and Gerard, that we see the environment and the environment issues as a very important subject for us to be involved in. And we're very proud of what we're doing. You know, we look around some of the plans we've got for the future around electric vehicles and each fire station. And as a result of that, I actually visited Ebervale Fire Station. And for me, and my understanding is, and what I saw, Ebervale Fire Station is a lead fire station in this area. Some of the work they do up there is amazing. They've all become beekeepers. And they also, what they do with the honey then, they also support staff who are often well. And if you're off for a period of time, as a sort of gift, and keeping in touch sort of way, they give the member a jar of honey. They're also looking at how reusable water. They're engaging in the schools, and schools can come along to see the fire station action. And they're looking at the use of water. And every fire person involved in a fire station actively sees this as their role. Now, really, to be honest, this is only a new thing over the last couple of years for South Wales Fire Authority to be involved in, but it's very much on top of their agenda. And I was actually quite proud to be the environment champion. And I would encourage each member to visit the local fire stations in their area and to see what they're doing. To help the environment, because like you say, we have to play our part. It's not only a national concern; it's a worldwide concern. I've only recently saw the COP meeting and some of the concerns there. So I'm very proud to say that South Wales Fire Authority are playing this role, and hopefully we will be able to reduce our carbon footprint even further, and hopefully to reach a zero carbon footprint by 2030, and I'd like to thank every officer, every member of the Fire Authority, our employees for the role that they are playing in this area, because, like I say, they all seem to be involved in this and want to make a difference, not just for themselves, but for the community that they serve.
Thank you, David, and thank you for involving yourself into it. It seems that you're on top of the subject on this carbon one. It is concerning. So thank you very much for that, Dave. Much obliged to you. Right, then we go on to the item 5, to receive the minutes of the Fire and Rescue Authority meeting held on the 27th of September 2021, which is on page 5. Can I go for accuracy? Page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Someone move the true record otherwise?
I move that, Chair. Yeah, go on.
Yes, seconded?
Yeah, second it. Yeah.
Thank you. Sarah, can we go for the vote, please?
We don't need to vote on the minutes if they're accepted, Tudor.
Well, they have been moved and seconded. Is there anyone opposed to it? It's be as simple as that then, all right? No one?
Yes.
Okay. Then we go to the next one, which is the Finance and Performance Management Scrutiny Committee meeting held on the Monday, the 18th of January 2021 on page 15. For noting, are you going to move it for noting, Steve?
I propose that, Chair. Yeah.
Is that seconded? So we
I'll
all agree
second
we
that,
note?
Chair.
Yes, second.
All right.
I'll second.
We all agree that we note then?
Yeah.
It's a matter for the committee to decide what they want, next meeting. Right, we go then to page 23, the Local Pension Board Committee meeting held on Monday, the 28th of June, 2021 on page 23. Steve?
I move that, Chair, and I'd like to put on record my thanks to all staff who work in the Pensions Department. It is a really extremely busy post for them all, and it's a credit to everybody who sorts the pensions out for our firefighters, Chair.
Right.
I'll endorse what you say, Chairman, on that.
So you second that then, do you, Val?
I'll second as well, Chairman.
Right, shall we note it then?
Yeah.
Then we go then to page 31, the HR Equalities Committee meeting held on Monday the 5th of July 2021.
I'd move that as a true record, Chair.
Is that seconded?
I second that, yeah.
But Vice Chair is seconding it. All right. Shall we note them? All right. Then we go to page 37, Finance Audit and Performance Management Committee held on Monday the 20th of September 2021 on page 37, as I said. Steve?
Yeah, I propose that, please.
I'll second.
Chair,
All agree?
yeah.
All agree
Chair,
we
can I
note
come in
them?
on? Yeah. Sorry, Chair, can I come in on this? Susan
Yes.
Morgans. I've been listed as a member for Bridgend, not RCT on there, sorry.
Right, there's a correction there, yes. Will I note that then, the officers?
Yes, we've noted that, and apologies, Councillor Morgans.
Right, then we go to page 47, the Finance and Asset Performance Management Scrutiny Committee meeting held on the 11th of October 2021.
Chair,
Yes.
I thought you were going to put an amendment to this one, Chair.
I'm just going to the page at the moment. Well, I'm still asking Councillor Brown if she is willing to, as the chair, to withdraw that comments in that minute.
Chairman, thank you for the option of asking me about it. I think I'd prefer to keep.
Well, you are a member of the Fire Authority, so
minutes are. But it's about the accuracy of the minutes, and they were written by officers, and I believe that's a true record of the meeting. So I will, if there is an amendment, I will vote against it because of the accuracy of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Anyone else? Well, I will move that we delete that paragraph, that statement from the minutes.
Chair, Councillor Dan Norton wants to come in there.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
Thank you, Chair. I do appreciate, obviously, some members are unhappy with what it says in the minutes, but I was at the meeting and it was the language Councillor Brown used. Councillor Brown doesn't wish to remove the language. So I just want to get guidance potentially from officers around the ability to delete parts of the minutes, because I feel it's around it being factual. It was a statement made at the, obviously at the meeting. It is on the broadcast as well. So obviously, because these are recorded and then put onto YouTube. So I think deleting it would not add to accuracy of what happened at the meeting.
I'm not questioning
Can I come in? Chair, can I come in for that?
Yes.
Obviously, the minutes were recorded at the meeting on the 11th, from the meeting on the 11th of October, and they subsequently went to the follow-up meeting in December of this scrutiny group, and they were approved at that meeting as well. So obviously, to make amendments now, we would need a vote by the members of that.
Well, it is reported now to the Fire Authority. We are a decision-making body. Geraint?
Yeah, obviously you can request for the amendment to be made, but it would have to through a vote of the members of that committee for the amendment to be made.
Right, I take your advice on that. So, is anyone on the committee prepared to move that particular statement is deleted from the minutes?
Chairman, if I may, it was a statement that was made at the meeting, and I therefore think it should remain as a true record of that meeting, regardless of what we may feel. Better wording, but so I feel they should be retained as the true record of how that meeting proceeded, whether we're happy with it or not.
So you're moving that, Councillor Smith?
If they stay as
Councillor Shaw wants to come in, Chair.
Pardon?
Councillor Shaw wants to come in and comment.
Yeah, but is anyone second to Val Smith on the committee?
Chair, I'm happy to support and second Val Smith's motion. Okay. I think it's right that it is a reflection of the words used by Councillor Brown. I think it would be appropriate for this meeting to have a minute with your objections, which I think are wholly right. There is no opposition in the Fire Authority, but it should be recorded at this meeting rather than trying to redact a previous minutes of a previous meeting. So I second Councillor Smith.
Thank you for that. But what I want to comment, we went through this and the monitor officer made it quite clear, time and time again, that we are not in the same situation as councils, where they have got the regulations. And in our constitution, we are not obliged to do the same. Yeah. We are now doing it. As you know, Rod, we were nominating you, but for your own reasons, you withdrew. So in the spirit of it, we were prepared to do that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And what I object to is opposition word. We've sorted that out. We work as a team, not anything else. And all I'm concerned about is the word of opposition party in a minute.
Chair, question, Chair.
Yes.
Although I understand, that remark was made at the meeting, and I don't think me personally that we can change the minutes. I think what we need to ask Val is, can she accept it was the wrong word to use? I don't think we can change the meeting because, like I said, it's out there in the open now. But if she now accepts it was the wrong word to use.
Sorry, it wasn't.
Hang on, Councillor Brown, hang on, Val.
Right. What we are looking at are the minutes, a record of that meeting as it occurred, and I think they should be retained as they are, the true record, whether we like or not. And I think, as Councillor Shaw has just proposed, that there is a comment made now as to how you feel about a certain comment that was made. You can't alter the minutes of a meeting that happened. And also, Councillor, I'm sorry, I've forgotten my name, said these things are on YouTube, so they must marry up. So I'm happy to continue with my proposal, seconded by Councillor Shaw, that they be retained and that a minute be added at the bottom as to what the feelings were at this meeting. Not well put.
Chair, can I come in, please, Chair?
Yes, Steve.
I fully agree with what Val have just said, and I feel that the Fire Authority, with the word opposition, is going back to where we were many years ago, when which we used to be called. So I really think that all members, every member of the Fire Authority, we are there for the purpose of the Fire Authority. Yes, we belong to a political party, but when we're on the Fire Authority, we are a Fire Authority member. No opposition, no ruling group or nothing. That's the way it is. And I'm getting really fed up of the word opposition being said. It's not right. It's not that. We are not a council, as you've said. We're a Fire Authority, and we got different rules to a Fire Authority than what a council has. And I agree with totally. I don't sit in this committee, but I agree with what Councillor Smith has said and what Councillor Shaw has said about a note being put at the end of it, Chair, saying what how we feel about it. Thank you, Chair.
Well,
sorry, Chairman, am I allowed to speak? Because I have had my hand up for a while.
Go on then.
Yeah, well, I think that there should be simply a vote on whether or not there's a support of the accuracy of the minutes, and nothing more than that, because I don't think it's appropriate for the Fire Authority to subsequently amend minutes. If the chairman wants to make a comment, that's up to him, but I don't think that that's an issue that should be resurrected at this particular meeting, because going through the minutes is a question of looking at the accuracy of the minutes. I didn't write the minutes or anything. It was written by officers as an account of the meeting, and it was agreed by the scrutiny group. And I don't think that, obviously that you mentioned that you don't mention, you say that you don't like the word opposition party, but I mean, the reality is that you could use your main party vote to put in what you want in terms of the Fire Authority itself. So it's a reality, and we do work as a team, and I appreciate that we work as a team, but I don't think that altering minutes because comments aren't liked or whatever isn't appropriate. And I think we should have a vote on whether or not we approve the accuracy of the minutes. And I put forward that I put forward to approve the accuracy of the minutes as they stand, and therefore I would like somebody to second it. The officers have said that the voting is down to the people who presumably were at the meeting.
Well, it's been moved and seconded anyway, right, Councillor Brown? Geraint, Sarah, have you got the list of the members on there?
Chair, before we go any further, what does a standing order say about alterations to amended criteria on minutes? Can I ask that?
I'd have to check that. We'd have to suspend today's meeting, and while I go and check things and then reconvene. Would you like me to do that, or are you happy for us to progress with the minutes of being moved second?
I suggest we now go ahead
to capture the comments.
We go ahead now with a vote of the members of that committee, right?
Chair. Thank you, Chair. So,
could I just clarify that this is
hang on.
the accuracy of the minutes? Thank you.
Hang on, Rod.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, if I could just make a comment before we take any other action, I don't think it's appropriate to take a vote on minutes that have already been recorded. Right. The words are written in the minutes. I think what it's more appropriate to do is to note at this meeting and the minutes of this meeting the objection to the language used therein. Some members voting on a set of minutes which has already been supplied, I think doesn't achieve anything. Yeah?
Okay. All right. I'll rule on that. We won't have a vote on it. All I will do, I will put into the minutes my comment on it. All right? Will you agree to that?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, support that, Chair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think it's appropriate to put in comments on minutes myself. Thank you.
I have the right to make a comment if I want to, and any other member, as far as I'm concerned.
But it's a chairman comment only. Thank you.
Right. So we note the minutes of those meetings.
Chair, can I say something, please? I'm getting quite frustrated here. I respect all members and I respect every member, but members are butting in over you, Chair. It's not appropriate. You are the Chair of the Fire Authority, and I think, well, I'll just leave it at that, Chair. I'm getting really, really frustrated. I hope they don't do this in their own council meetings, because I know our presiding officer would be pulling them over the coals over.
Right, let's not delve too far now. Right, then we go up-to-date actions on page 53. Geraint?
Thank you, Chair. First, just a few actions that need to cover off. First one, in relation to the acquisition of land at New Inn. We had the site surveys done, everything came back favourably. We've sort of made our intention clear to the owners of the land that we're willing to proceed with the purchase of the land. However, we're sort of coming up against total silence from the owners. So at the moment, we're considering whether we go back out to market and do sort of alternative options, look at alternative sites again. But we're just getting nothing back from the owners of the site. So we reconsider our options at the moment. But it's not to say it's completely dead in the water. It's just that we're failing to get any correspondence back from them in terms of the offer that we would like to make. In terms of the second action, then the proposal in terms of reference for the scrutiny committee, the scrutiny group, that's been through the scrutiny group, it's been through HR Equality, then been to FAPM, and a report will be coming back to the Fire Authority now in February, outlining the latest proposals there. The Grenfell Tower inquiry, there's a report coming to the Fire Authority in February with an update against that action. And then the other two actions are against pensions remedy, and obviously they've been covered off later on the agenda with reports from Alison Reid.
Anyone else want any comments on the...
Councillor Norton is indicating, Chair.
Hi, yeah, thank you, Chair. I don't know if it's excluded from the public, but obviously with the new insight now, potentially not being appropriate, has there been any review on the budget of potentially a new site?
No, as I say, at the moment, we would say it's late in the day that we've had sort of communication back from the agents acting on our behalf to say that they're not getting a response. So it's just considering our options at the moment. Any further decision will obviously come back to the Fire Authority and to the Finance Audit Committee.
All right. All right, Dan. Any other comments on this report?
Well, it's disappointing.
It is frustrating.
Yeah.
Very frustrating. A similar situation we had with Pontypridd.
I was thinking that. Yes, we lost there, didn't we?
Very frustrating for our staff there as well. You know. Yeah. There you are. All right. Thank you for that.
Chair.
Yes.
Can I just say I fully agree with you on that. It's like Pontypridd situation all over again, and I'd like to put my thanks to officers for the work that they've already done for trying to get the site at New Inn, because at the end of the day we do need a new station at New Inn, and I just wish them all the best for it anyway. It's very disappointing, frustrating.
Yeah, quite right. Right, then we go on now to reports for decisions. 7.1, Treasury Management Midterm Review Report 2021-22, which is on page 59.
Thank you, Chair. So This report provides an update on the authority's Treasury activities for the period 1st of April to the 30th of September 2021. And when we refer to the word Treasury, we mean the arrangements that we make for cash in terms of banking, investing, depositing and borrowing. So the Fire Authority approved the Treasury Management Strategy Statement for this year on the 22nd of March 2021. And this report provides an update on the figures, so the limits and the indicators that was contained within that strategy statement. So this report has been compiled in conjunction with the CIPA Code of Practice, and there's 5 main requirements from the CIPA Code of Practice, and that is the creation of a Treasury Management Policy Statement, which we've done 22nd of March, the creation and maintenance of Treasury Management Practices, which officers work towards each day in the Finance Department, and then the reporting requirements, which is the annual reporting of the strategy, this report, which is the mid-year update, and then at the end of this financial year, Fire Authority will get an out-term position or an end-of-year review just to see the position that what we finished with. So they are the 3 key Treasury reports coming to members during the year. The 4th point in the code is that we've provided delegated authority to the Treasurer to work with limits, change them, revise them as the economy changes and our situation changes. And then we've also delegated the Finance Audit and Performance Committee to review the information before it comes to Fire Authority. And it is the recommendation of the Finance Audit and Performance Management Committee that we note and agree the information within this report. So this mid-term report, all the information, the pertinent information, is encapsulated on page 61 in that table there. The table gives what the figures that were set out in the Treasury Management Strategy Statement, and then this year's, and then the update for 6 months so far. So what it does is it links really closely the Treasury work that we do with our capital work, our capital investment work. And at the top there, you will see that there has been a reduction in what we thought we were going to spend this year, 8.6 million, down to 7.4. And that was discussed in the Finance Audit Committee meeting. COVID having its impact, or the pandemic having its impact, the supply chain, and the rest of it. So there's just over £1 million reduction in the forecast this year, and that is subject to change. I think probably what's useful to mention at this point is we don't get funding for capital investment. That is something we must seek out ourselves through borrowing, capital receipts, contributions from the revenue budget. So when those figures of capital expenditure change, everything, the financing of that capital expenditure, that then alters. And you will see flowing down then from the capital expenditure is the financing requirements. Capital grants have changed because some spending is not taking place during this year. So there's a small reduction of 126,000 there. Our revenue contribution is the same. We have chosen to use our capital receipts, and what that means is that will reduce our need to borrow, and that will reduce our interest and charges in our revenue budget. So that's a good thing by 189,000. And then our minimum revenue provision charges also alter, MRP, that's shortened to. So what that means is our requirement to fund or to borrow is reduced because of the reductions in capital and the changes in the financing, and that's a good place for us to be. The CFR is a key limit for members to look at, and this over in borrowing position. It points to a few things, solvency being the key thing. Are we over borrowing? more than what we need to invest in capital. That tends to be a prime indicator. And the answer there is not. We're under borrowed by 12 million. So if there was an increase in pace in the capital budget, we could then go out and borrow. And then further then down, you've got our debt position, and that's how it actually is. We started the year with £29 million worth of loans. It gives information there on how much we are repaying during the year, which is 916,000. And then it works in then other borrowing instruments that we have, which at this moment in time is PFI, and that's the 4.097 that you see there. And then further down then we've got some limits we set for the year, which we are not seeking to change. Oh no.
No, I've still got everyone here.
You've still got everybody?
Hang on, doesn't mean they can hear you. Just bear with me 1 second. You can put that on.
We can hear you.
Can members hear us okay?
Yes,
okay, we'll carry on then. We've lost visual. So we've got some limits set there on the operational boundary for borrowing, the authorised limit for borrowing. We are not seeking to change them. We are seeking to keep them the same. And then some affordability limits at the bottom. Affordability, looking at the value of our borrowing, the impact that's got on the revenue budget. So there's a drop there from 6.71% to 6.44. And I think for members, if that ratio of financing cost to revenue grows, of course, that gives you less flexibility in the revenue budget. So you will see then from these figures that the Treasury activities we have are very closely linked with our performance in capital investment, and also closely linked with affordability in the revenue budget. So we can only borrow as much as we can afford to repay through the revenue budget. There has been one change since this information has been put together. Bank rate was 0.1%, very, very low. And that wasn't going to change until June. Those were the forecasts. It did change on the 16th of December, and that's increased to 0.25. So we haven't forecast to make any income on our banking deposits for the remainder of this year on the basis that that bank rate was very low, but we can see now that it's now started to increase. And we are the first rich country to start the increase as well. So that may set a trend then for the rest of us. And that's it really. There's some interest rate forecasts in there which are useful for us to think about the timing of our borrowing, and there's some information there on what our banking deposits were as at the 30th of September, which was just over 13 million. And then there's an economic update then contained within Appendix 1, and that gives a more in-depth perspective on the interest rate and the movements there and our risks. Just revisiting what the recommendation is, and that's for members to note and just to approve the updated information in the report.
For members to note the information, yes. Sorry, Tudor, just confirming that the recommendation is for members to note. Apologies to members, we've lost the big screen here in the meeting room. I can still see everybody on my laptop in front of me. So as long as you can hear us in meeting room 8, we should be okay to continue. So apologies for that. Back to you, Chair.
Right. Has anyone got any questions on this report?
Not a question, Chairman, just a comment. In the introductory thing, the point 4, 1.4 was it? The delegation by the authority of responsibilities for implementing. Well, common sense says where it's who's going to be responsible. But I did wonder if there should be an actual statement following the 5th point there. Delegation of authority, the role of scrutiny, then it's a specific thing, it's going to the finance and audit performance. We're just wondering if number 4 point 4 there, bullet point 4, delegation by the authority of responsibilities for implementing and monitoring Treasury, if it should actually state that it was presumably going to the Treasurer. Just a thought. And the other one in the report that I found hugely amusing is the downside risks from the huge sums of cash that the UK populace have saved. Well, that's countrywide, I know, but I found that quite entertaining. We can all go and blue it over Christmas.
Right, do you wish to comment on that?
No, Chair, we take that on board and obviously feed it in future that the delegation is to the Treasurer for acting out that.
Yeah, I know it's a silly, fiddly little thing. Common sense says what it is, but I was just reading through and thought, oh, hello, do we need? I don't know. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Val, any for your contribution. Appreciate that. Anyone else got any questions or comments on the report?
Chair, can I just say, I'm sorry I had to come up to that then. I had the phone call from the hospital. I don't know if members know, I was taken in the hospital over the weekend. I suspected heart attack, but I didn't have heart attack. But I was the hospital just checking up on me to see how I was. So I'm sorry I missed, I could hear you all, but I had to take the screen off to talk. Okay, so my apologies to everybody on the call. Thank you, Chair.
Well, it proves that your heart is still beating. That's the main thing, Steve.
He's still there.
Well, I still got a heart. I still got a heart, Chair.
Well, all right. Anyone else got any comments?
Some people might say no, but I say yes.
Anyone else got any comments apart from a medical report?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Right, thank you for that then. Much obliged. So I move that we note. Is that seconded?
Yep.
All agree then, obviously?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, we go to 7.2 then, the revenue budget for 2020-23. Chris?
Thank you, Chair. Morning, members. This report is to not set the budget for next year, but certainly to start the process of consultation in terms of the budget next year. We're intending to bring the budget formally back to you at your February meeting to ask for it to be approved. However, this report is recommending a consultation exercise based on a 2.29% increase in next year's budget over the current year. I'll just take members through some of the salient points in the report. As usual, we do sort of indicate the historical context for the budget. And the chart on page 74 of your agenda indicates the level of budget that we've set, the level of budget increase or reduction that we've set over the past 10 years or so. What you'll see in that chart, the green bars are those which the authorities, the councils have got in terms of their overall resource position for each of the years. And the red bars are the budget change set by the Fire Authority. And you'll hopefully see in the vast majority of those years where resources have gone up, the Fire Authority has gone up by less than the increase that local authorities have got. And when resources have gone down, the Fire Authority has set a budget which is lower than the reduction that councils have got. The one disadvantage we've got this year is the Welsh Government budget is due to come out today. So we don't have any direct information at the moment about what Welsh Government is doing with its budget in respect of local government. And it's likely the settlement for local government will come out tomorrow, I believe. But all the signals are that Welsh Government funding is going to be at least as good as it was last year, if not marginally better. Equally, however, of course, there are lots of calls on public sector spending at the moment, so we don't really know what the position is going to be for local government. In terms of each year, you'll be aware that we have population changes within the settlement process, and the Fire Authority's budget is distributed to the 10 councils on the basis of the population within each of them. And the table on page 75 of your agenda sets out the changes in population and the effect of those changes on next year's budget before the Fire Authority takes its budget decision. And you'll see there are the changes actually this coming year are quite small, a lot smaller than they have in previous years. But there are some significant ones. So you'll see, for instance, Newport is the one which is up compared to everybody else. there'll be a 0.4% increase on top of whatever the Fire Authority sets next year. And equally, by Blaenau Gwent at the other end, we'll see a 0.4% reduction beyond that average. So those changes happen every year. There's nothing the Fire Authority can do about that. It's where we start, essentially, before considering the impact of our budget. In determining the level of budget, there have been a number of meetings on this. The MTFS was considered back at the end of the summer, and we've taken several reports through the meetings of FAPM and the scrutiny group to consider the basis of the budget. And from 2011 onwards, we've set out there some of the key considerations around our employees' budget, together with the other aspects of the budget. The one important consideration is, members will recall, when we set the budget last year, we were struggling to set the assumption around pay awards. We ended up setting pay awards at a slightly higher level than certainly the Grey Book settlement came in at this year. So we're sort of running ahead of the costs of the authority in that sense. And as a result of that, we've been able to feed that over provision into the coming year's budget, which has to some extent offset the inflationary growth that we're looking at for the coming years. So that's assisted in sort of keeping costs down for next year. However, there are a number of areas that have been considered, particularly around our premises budget, our IT budgets, operational equipment and training and things like that, where costs are going up. We fed those in. Equally, there are areas where we've been able to reduce those budgets as well. So, for instance, some of the decarbonisation stuff that we've been talking around, some of the side effects of COVID in terms of reduced travel, reduced accommodation and that type of thing, have all been helping to actually reduce costs. So there's a kind of an ups and downs scenario there throughout the budget, all of which has been considered and fed in at what we believe to be the requirement for next year. One of the areas which I'll touch on specifically, because it's been mentioned in previous meetings, is the capital finance cost of the authority. And you've just considered some of the Treasury management stuff, which is the information behind this. Members will be aware, Councillor Shaw in particular, because he's commented on this in the past, that the capital programme is traditionally underspent. And we are intending to undertake a review of the capital programme to sort of put it on a firmer basis and a more reasonable basis going forward. With that in mind, we've actually reduced the budget for capital financing costs for next year to assume that there will be an element of underspending as well. And when we do the capital programme review, obviously we will pick up that point and consider that fully. In terms of income streams, we've had some increased income streams in the current year from external grant funding, and where those are secured and firm now, we've also fed those increases obviously into next year's budget as well. So it reflects the level of external support we get for some of our initiatives as well. All of that fed in together results in the table that you see on page 78 of the report, which essentially sets out what a 2.29% average increase looks like across the 10 authorities. And you'll see with those population changes that I mentioned earlier, there's a range of increases. So you can see that Newport on that table would see an increase of 2.71% as a result of that change, whereas Blaenau Gwent at the other end of the scale would be down at 1.89. That's the population impact of the actual budget itself. In terms of the evaluation and resilience work, the scrutiny group considered the SIPFA's Financial Management Code at a recent meeting, and that will be coming back for adoption by the FAPM committee before the end of the year. That ensures that we set a sustainable budget on a proper basis. So we'll be adopting that financial management code. We, I believe, are already in compliance with it, but we need to formally adopt it. And the budget is based on all the usual considerations around our reserves and balances, the budget that we set for capital, budget that we set for revenue in the current year, together with all our monitoring information from the current year as well, of course, which helps us set the direction of travel. The budget is outlined in Appendix 1 of the report. The capital programme as currently programmed is at Appendix 2. And the only other thing I want to mention, Chair, is there are a number of posts that we've got on the established at the moment, which have either been of a temporary nature or are required. And these are set out in Appendix 3 of the report. There's a number of posts there subject to job evaluation where appropriate, where we are planning to increase the establishment subject to Fire Authority approval. We're not asking for an increase in funding for these posts at this moment in time. We believe we can absorb them through a combination of savings from existing posts and also from savings in year within the overall employee budget coming for next year. So we are looking to implement those changes, but not with a consequential budget increase at this moment in time. I'm going to stop there, Chair, and ask members if there's any questions they have on the budget report. As I say, this will be going to consultation and we'll be coming back to you in February with any consultation responses. And I've got Councillor Norton indicating, Chair.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Chris, for a really good report as always. So just two quick questions. Obviously on postage, I know it's only a very small amount obviously spent on the actual budget, and there's not that much we can do to reduce it further. But has there been any look to remove paper pay slips? I know members still get them. I don't know about general staff, so it might be a way we could reduce that budget further is getting rid of paper slips. That would also help the environment. My other question is around consultation. Is it possible to look at sending councillors of the 10 local authority just a general email and ask them their input and feedback? Because I know we generally don't get much input from the councillors generally, so that could be one way we can get more input from at least the councillor population of the area.
Chair, in response to those, on the paper pay slips issue, yes, apologies, members wouldn't be aware of this, but for the purposes of staff, they all have access to online pay slips now, so we don't print pay slips across the piece. We try and avoid that sort of thing, and there's probably more work we can do on some of that as time goes by around some of the documentation, but certainly for those bulk things, we've addressed that already. In respect to the consultation exercise, this point was raised, as some members will be aware, by the Scrutiny Committee when it was considering the Financial Management Code, and the question came up around what we do on consultation in respect of our budget. And obviously that request was going to be fed back into FAPM when it adopted the code back at the end of the year. But if members so decide, obviously we could try and get that consultation exercise communicated more widely with members of the 10 authorities.
Could I now, unfortunately, I've got to leave the meeting. The Vice Chair is quite aware of the reason for that. So can I just say to all the members and to all the staff, a Merry Christmas. And when I say all the members, I mean all the members. The best wishes for the Christmas and a happy new year and a healthy new year. That's more important. So sorry I got to go, but it is a personal thing. Steve, will you now take over the chair?
And you, Chair, as well.
Yes. Look after yourself, Chairman.
Thank you.
I was going to say thank you, Chair. All the best to you too, there. I'll phone you in the week. Chris, I like to echo what Councillor Norton just said about the pay slips. I've been saying about this for years. You know, if it only saves us, 15 quid a month, that's 15 quid a month extra into our budget for something else. And I'd like to concur as well with what Councillor Norton said. Thank you for the presentation. Once again, always fantastic reports from you and well presented. Okay, thank you. So I forgot my mic there. Any other member wish to speak on this issue?
No.
Got no other members indicating, Chair.
So we go to the recommendation. So I'm knocked out now. So are we going to vote on this one, Sarah?
Yes, Councillor Bradwick, we do need to go to a vote. So are you happy for me to conduct that now?
Yes, please, if you would.
Lovely. I can't see Councillor Hodgins having joined us yet. So Councillor Shaw.
Yes, I would. Well, both reports in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor White.
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Ellsbury, have you joined us yet? I can't see Councillor Ellsbury. Councillor Hussey.
Yes, in favour.
Thank you. Councillor Diar.
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Lister, I don't believe, has joined. Councillor Norton.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Williams.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Brown.
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Bradwick.
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Morgans.
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes.
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Roberts. Councillor Roberts, I can't hear you. I can see you, but I can't hear you.
In support.
Thank you very much. Apologies for that. Councillor Evans.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Molson. Not joined. Councillor Drake.
In favour.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Jarvie.
For.
Thank you. Just checking, that I have asked all members present to vote, correct? Excellent. No one's speaking up. Thank you, Chair. That's moved.
Okay, thank you, members. We go on to the next item on the agenda, which is on page 89, the Living Wage Foundation accreditation. And I believe that's Alison. You taking that, Alison?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. So this report is looking for a decision from members today. It's about seeking Fire Authority approval for the service to become an accredited real living wage employer. The report was discussed at the HR and Equalities meeting on the 1st of November and received unanimous support from members. Just by way of background context, as you know, the national living wage and the national minimum wage are both set by the UK government. The national minimum wage is a statutory requirement for employers and it's enforceable under the National Minimum Wage Act of 1998. The UK government has announced that from April of next year, the national minimum wage will increase to £9.50 per hour. And this figure equalises national minimum wage with the real living wage hourly rate. And this announcement reflects the recommendations made by the Low Pay Commission to the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. The real living wage, this is a voluntary scheme. There are over 7,000 employers in the UK who have become accredited real living wage employers. In Wales, there are around 335, just over 30 of those are in the public sector. You will see as an appendix to the paper, there is a letter from the First Minister, Mark Drakeford, which urges employers to become a real living wage employer. And support is being offered through Cynnal Cymru for employers who wish to start the journey. There's a table in the report itself, paragraph 2.4, which shows the national minimum wage will equalise the real living wage hourly rate from April of next year, and the lowest pay point within service is £10.01 per hour. So the service is currently paying above the national living wage and the real living wage hourly rate. There will be a piece of work for us to do with our suppliers, so we'll work with our procurement teams to check the pay levels of our contractors, but that's another phase of this piece of work, so we'll work with Geraint and his team on reviewing that. So from a service perspective, there's currently no financial cost to us. This is a good thing to do for us. It sends a signal to our staff that we value them, and it will support our recruitment and retention strategy. And as I've said, no current financial constraints or obligations. So I'll pause there, take any questions.
Any members got any questions on this? Pam, this is your committee. Would you like to say anything, Pam?
No, I'd just like to support this. And I think we should add ourselves to the accreditation list. We should be promoting ourselves and what a good authority we are. And I would support that.
I second that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Oh, yes,
Councillor Shaw is indicating.
Yeah, I can see you saluting me, Rod. Yes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your tolerance. It's a comment, not a question. Thoroughly in support of this report and its recommendations, particularly given 3.2.1, which looks at safeguarding women employees who tend to be wholly underpaid. So very much in support of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Any other member? I'm looking at my screen. No.
Support.
Oh, Councillor Roberts is indicating, Chair.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we had a good discussion on this at the HR and Equalities meeting, and I also am in full support of this. It's just shown what a good authority this fire authority is. So I commend the officers on that. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much for that. So, are we going to take a vote on this, Sarah?
Yes, please, Chair. So, you'll have to...
Hang on a minute. The recommendations are the members note the contented report, the members note the decision of the HR and Equalities Committee on the 1st of November 2020, getting accreditation as a Living Wage Foundation employer, and 3, that members approve the decision to gain accreditation of the Living Wage Foundation and become a real living wage employer. So we go to the vote, please, Sarah.
Thank you very much. Councillor Shaw?
Yeah, support the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor White?
Support the recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Hussey?
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Diarth?
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Norton?
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Williams?
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Brown?
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Smith?
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Bradwick?
Fully support.
Thank you. Councillor Morgans?
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes?
Wholeheartedly support.
Thank you very much. Councillor Roberts?
Fully support.
Thank you. Councillor Evans?
Yeah, fully support. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Drake?
Fully support the recommendation.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Jarvie?
For.
Thank you. I believe I've asked all members that are present, so that's been passed unanimously, Chair.
Okay, thank you ever so much. So we go to the next agenda, 7.4. Alison, I believe it's you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Firstly, just to say that this report was circulated late Friday evening, and it's a report for information. The report attempts to bring members up to date on most recent communications on firefighter pensions and confirms the service position on where we are currently. By way of background context, in July of this year, Fire Authority approved a report which recommended that the service move towards implementing immediate detriment cases for members of firefighter pension schemes who wish to retire. The report was approved and implemented with a set of informal guidance that was issued by the Home Office, and that meant that those people who were retiring from October of this year would receive, as they were entitled to, 2 pension statements to inform their retirement benefits. Since then, a number of communications have been received, and these are attached to the report as annexes, and these are there for your information. Namely, on October the 8th, there was an MOU agreed between the LGA and the Fire Brigades Union. Whilst not a legally binding document, this set out a framework for processing cases under immediate detriment. Since then, Treasury have issued a note around complexities in relation to tax issues and tax relief. In terms of the recommendations or the points made in the paper, as previously agreed, we recommend that work continues on immediate detriment cases. This is on the basis that the Fire Authority has the powers to settle cases in line with the MOU. This has already been tested at ET previously. The cases in point that in the document we refer to Cat 1 cases. Just to confirm what these are people who wish to retire since the decision was made in July. So these are future retirement cases. The category 2 cases outlined in the report are those where members of fire pension schemes have retired. So as outlined in the recommendations in the report, we propose continuing work on the immediate detriment cases in the pipeline, so those wishing to retire, and we propose continuing our groundwork on the category 2 cases so that we are prepared and ready to push the button when we have further information and a decision from the Fire Authority in February of next year. So that's a quick update on where we are in terms of fire pensions, and we will present a further report to Fire Authority in February 2022. I'll pause there. I know there's a lot of paperwork and it's quite complex, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Alison, for that. Anybody got any questions for this? Rod, got your hand up?
Yes, it is indeed. Thank you, Chair. Not just saluting. Thank you. As you quite rightly say, this is a complex situation, and one I suppose that none of us wanted to find ourselves in. But I think most pertinent is the addition you sent out by email. And Section 1.4 says that the Fire and Rescue Authority should have decided not to follow discriminatory legislation, because under Section 62, it has the power to pass a resolution making alterations to the scheme, which would have an effect on removing such discrimination. I think it's a salutary note, really, that all members of the Fire Authority need to be aware that their actions in following the law might also be challenged. But thank you for the depth of the report on this very complex subject.
Yes, thank you, Rod. Yes, you're quite right in exactly what you said, Rod. Councillor Brown?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you for the report. And as already been said, it's quite a complex issue. I think one of the issues I'm not quite clear about is about the taxation of contributions and how basically that would work, depending upon which scheme was chosen, if there was an option of 2 schemes. Thank you.
Alison, can you answer that, or do you want to give a written response to Councillor Brown and to all members on that?
Yes, so I'll give an initial response, which is that in terms of the cases that are due to retire, we are processing these via our payroll system, so they will be processed in line with current tax arrangements, so the correct amount of tax will be taken as far as we are aware at this point in time. What the immediate detriment remedy guidance has stated, though, is that all cases will need to be reconsidered again once the pension bill is put into place, so when it becomes acted. So we will have to review cases that we have already paid out. But in terms of the category 2 cases, so those who have already retired, we will work with our sort of pensions and tax experts in order to get us into the right place in terms of tax for those particular cases.
Oh, thank you, Alison. Does that help you, Councillor Brown?
Yes, thank you. I mean, it does seem quite complicated because of the fact that there's a possibility of taxation in relation to contributions if you'd made them in the later scheme as opposed to the legacy scheme. So it is very complicated, but thank you for the response. Thank you.
As I said earlier, that pensions is quite a complicated issue, and I wholeheartedly support all our staff who work on the pensions because they do a damn good job, because I could never do it anyway. So this is just for note, members. So I'm happy just to note this report, members.
Move we note.
Okay, thank you ever so much. So we go to the next item on the agenda on page 109, item 7.5, government consultation amendment of firefighter pension schemes. Alison?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Still on the theme of pensions. So this report is looking for Fire Authority approval to submit an employer's response to the Welsh Government and English Government consultations on changes to firefighter pension schemes, so as to allow for the transition into the 2015 scheme on the 1st of April of next year. This is relatively straightforward and is just about moving everyone who is currently not in the 2015 scheme into the 2015 scheme. You will see from the annexes that Welsh Government have posed 8 questions for employers to consider. The questions deal with issues such as the closing of the legacy schemes and moving active members across to the 2015 scheme from the 1st of April of next year. How ill health retirements will be calculated, where they straddle the transition dates, so that we're ensuring that people aren't put in detriment in any way. And there's a question around any impacts from an equality perspective and Welsh language perspective. The English Government consultation has less number of questions, so there are 5 questions. The closing of the legacy scheme, so very similar to the Welsh consultation, also very similar how ill health retirements will be dealt with. There's arrangements for purchasing added service and the impacts from an equality perspective. Both sets of responses have been circulated to our local pension board, and no additional comments have been made to the draft that you have before you. We are intending, as you will see, the closing date for the Welsh consultation is today, so we will, subject to your approval, submit the employer's response directly after this meeting. The English scheme closes on the 2nd of January, and I'll pause there.
Okay, thank you, Alison. Any member want to speak on this?
No. Only that I got thoroughly confused on question 3.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it, Val. Yes.
Each time you read it, you get a different kick.
Yeah.
No, thank you for the work that you do on this, because it's a minefield.
Yes, I totally agree, Val. It's as I said, pensions. It is a nightmare, but I agree. So I think we've got to take a vote on this one, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
These are the responses, aren't they?
Yeah. So the recommendation that members agree the employer's responses on Appendix 1 and 2 at the tax report. Can I have a mover or seconder, please, for this?
I would move.
I'll second.
Yeah, thank you ever so much. So we can go to the vote, please, Sarah.
Thank you, Chair. So, Councillor Shaw.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor White.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Hussey.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Diarth.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Norton.
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Williams.
I support.
Thank you. Councillor Brown.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Bradwick.
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Morgans.
Support.
Councillor Holmes.
In support.
Councillor Roberts.
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Evans.
In support.
And Councillor Drake.
In favour.
Thank you. And Councillor Jarvie.
For.
Thank you. That was carried unanimously, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Sir. We go on to the next item on page 119, agenda 7.6. Geraint, you want to take this one?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Members of the Finance Audit and Performance Management Committee will be aware that through the reports they receive on the capital programme, that the Urban Search and Rescue building has been no longer fit for purpose, and it is part of the capital schemes for this year. This report is merely seeking approval for us to award the contract for the construction of the works on that site. In line with our services contract standing orders, any contracts over £750,000 in value require full approval from the Fire Authority. And following the tender exercise which is carried out for this project, the receipt of the tender value is £1,136,901, so it obviously exceeds that level. So the report is asking for the approval for us to award the contract to trio building contractors, but for note for members is that we have received full funding approval from Welsh Government for a grant to cover the costs for this scheme. So happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Geraint. I wholeheartedly support this because the work that I've seen in the I think it's about 15 years I've been on the Fire Authority now, that this team does is phenomenal worldwide. So yeah, I fully support this. Rod?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And again, wholeheartedly support. I did have a question, though, and I have to say I've never seen a report with so many acronyms in it, so well done. It's really a bit of a left field question. On page 134, you have a link to the strategic gap analysis. Did that gap analysis contain any measures for pandemic? You may have to come back to me on that.
You're ahead of us, aren't you?
Yeah, you're ahead of us, Rob.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I jumped ahead. Sorry, Steve. Yeah, I have literally jumped ahead.
I was thinking. I thought. Have I missed something? I didn't realise the report was that long. No. So can I have a proposal and a seconder for this, please?
Chairman, can I just ask something, please?
Sorry, Val. Yes.
The Welsh Government is picking up the tab. That's fine. The tender price is set. In the event of additional costs, the Welsh Government, do they pick them up? I seem to remember asking this once. Additional costs, or is it come along the right term for a tied tender that they cannot exceed the price?
I'm no expert, Geraint. You would know this.
Yeah, it's, the initial budget that was set for this scheme was set in the region of £850,000. And that we had initial confirmation of grant funding up to that level. Obviously, following the tender exercise and having firm prices, we've gone back to Welsh Government and they confirmed that they're willing to pick up the additional costs. Obviously, once we start on site, like all contracts, they're subject to conditions on site and weather conditions and the like. So the cost may increase, but obviously at that point we have further discussions with Welsh Government. But I think we've been pretty successful to date in getting the additional costs picked up, considering the budget is set at £850.
It's a good project. Thank you very much.
Glenn, you want to come in?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I see the planning permission has been granted by Cardiff City Council. Can I ask the question, who is undertaking the building regulations, please?
I was waiting for that, Glenn.
Thank you, Chairman.
Sorry, was it specifically on building regulations, Councillor Holmes?
No, it's not on building regulations. Who is going to be the building control authority, please? Is it Cardiff City?
It will be Cardiff Council as well, Councillor Holmes.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. The question has been answered. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn. So can any other member wish to speak? Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder for this?
I'll move it, Chair. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the recommendation that members approve the award of one of a contract for the construction of the USAR development to the trio building contractors. Can we take a vote on this one, please?
Yep. Certainly. Councillor Shaw.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor White. Thank you. Councillor Hussey.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Diar.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Norton.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Williams.
I support.
Thank you. Councillor Brown.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Bradwick.
Fully support.
Thank you. Councillor Morgans.
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes?
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Roberts?
In support.
Thank you. Councillor Evans?
In support.
Thank you. And Councillor Drake?
In favour.
Lovely. And Councillor Jarvie?
For.
Thank you. That was carried unanimously, Chair.
Thank you. Sorry, my hospital was back on the phone to me then. I'll ignore them. So thank you ever so much. Should we go on to item 8.1 on the agenda, which is 125, page 125. I've got Geraint and Dewey here.
Thank you, Chair. I'll kick off the report, first part, and then hand over to cover off the second part of it. Yeah, this is just a 6-month report on the business plans action report. So it's what we call the health check report, up to all the actions up to the end of September, and they're all the actions and ongoing work against our 8 strategic themes. On page 129 of the report, we'll see a chart which sets out the number of actions that are ongoing against each of those themes and the RAG status against each. And then the main part of the report, pages 130 to 150, give a very detailed account of all the work that's going on against each of the strategic themes. I don't plan on going through those areas of the report, but I pause at that point to take any questions before I hand over to the Chief to cover off the second part of the report.
Any questions, Rod?
Yeah, sorry, my previous question still stands. This is, like all the reports, I think, in this meeting, there is an exceptional report, but I did have a query whether the strategic gap analysis included provision for pandemics. And he might not be able to answer straight away, but if you could let me know, I'd be very grateful. Thank you.
Yes, so strategic gap analysis would have included a pandemic. We have exercised for a considerable period of time for that, but also the business impact of the pandemic, so loss of staff or loss of ICT, loss of power, etc. as well. So we have individual business continuity plans for those eventualities as well.
Right. Can I comment, Chairman?
Yes, by all means, Val, yes.
It really is an extremely good report. It's very interesting and it's a very honest, isn't it, and forthright one as to what's going well and what's not quite so good. Can I ask, please, what an USC 1.5, there's a reference to a river USC trackway. And I just wonder what on earth is, well, whether it's something you roll in and out, and then a service planning company has provided a quotation 25k for full planning permission to Newport City Council. So it then sounds as if it's a static thing. That intrigued me. So there were various things going through the report. Incredibly frank and honest report. Thank you. One comment I would make, there was somewhere in here, there's a reference to staff numbers. The on-call station at USC that has had such problems retaining or getting staff to cover is actually doing extraordinarily well. And they seem to have managed this by word of mouth purely. So a station that was possibly questionable at one stage staffing-wise is now doing very well with staffing numbers, I understand, with officers. PSP. And can I ask a question about, there's a reference I've got on a corner here, public service boards and relationships with. Do we now have one central public service board that covers the whole of the fire authority? Or have we still got 9 bodies that officers are having to cope with? Can you update me on that? Because I can't remember. So that one there. Searching non-digital. And I welcome the comment 5.2 about media and communications, researching a variety of non-digital digital methods of communication, because we miss so many people relying purely on the electronics. Yes, people do go to various places, but they don't go looking for South Wales Fire Authority. In the same way, they don't go looking for Monmouthshire County Council. We miss a whole lot of the community who are ill-informed as to what goes on. So welcome that. But a very good report. But the trackway intrigued me. Usk is doing remarkably well. And thank you to the officer who compiled it. And the acronyms thoroughly confused me. So thank you. And also, yeah, interesting note about the all-wheels training that has been arranged for a higher level of dementia training. That's to be welcomed nowadays. So thank you very much, Chairman. Bit of a cabble.
If I could, Chair, I'll take a couple of them if you don't mind. Thank you, comment on comms. We're always looking at alternative ways of engagement all of our communities, which might include those that are digitally excluded as well. Going back to your initial point around the Usk trackway, we are looking at alternative ways of launching our boat into the River Usk in and around the Newport area, given the considerable tidal range that we experience there. So we're working with developers and Newport City Council at the present time to look at alternatives and building a slipway. The Usk Fire Station, you're absolutely right, Councillor Smith, the crew and availability and numbers are really healthy at Usk. We've had a concerted media campaign and recruitment campaign out at Usk as well, and certainly trialling alternative and different turn-in times to the station, which is proving beneficial to us at the moment. And on the point around the public service boards, well, we've moved now to past the 9, so we've got a Gwent-wide PSB which covers the 5 local authority areas of the i.e. the Aneurin Bevan Health Board, which is really welcome. And the coincidentally, which I found myself as the vice chair of, having been support and advocate for. The other areas that we cover, the Cumtaf Health Board, that's got 2 PSBs at the moment, for Gend, and then you've got Cumtaf, which covers Merthyr and Rhondda and Taff. And then for Cardiff and Vale, they are 2 separate PSBs at the moment. So by my calculations, we've got 5 PSBs. I think I made note.
Have you got 6?
5, as opposed to 9. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming down a bit, isn't it? Yeah, I've forgotten the fact that it was Aneurin Bevan. Yeah, the tend to forget that block. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else? Do you want to? Anybody else? How do you want to carry on the rest of the report? What Gary said, or was that the end of the report?
I've just got some on behalf of Dewi. I've just got some of the performance stats really to bring members' attention. So I'm on page 152 onwards. Like the first part of this report, it's the first 6 months, so April to September. The jump out number probably is around special service calls and that's assistance to other agencies. And as you can imagine, through a global pandemic and with a very busy national health and the pathways into the NHS as well, we've seen a considerable increase through our assistance through the Welsh Ambulance Service to various calls to assist them. And that's outside of the assistance that we've been providing through COVID in providing drivers to our Welsh Ambulance Service Trust as well. And to just reassure members that the increased capacity or the increase in calls that we've seen in this nature are not as a result of the Welsh Government's ambition that was covered by the Chair's announcement, but it is there to assist our other agencies and have not compromised any of our statutory duties in any shape, form or fashion over this period of time. So top of page 155, total fires attended, a very good performance there. We're seeing a reduction of 4% and a reduction against target of 11%. Total false alarms, you can see there that we are reducing, and I've got a performance against a reduction from last year's as a benchmark. But again, standout premises that cause us concerns around education and hospitals. We can continue to work with our partners that way. Over the page on 156, road traffic collisions, as you can see, the collisions, the number is up from the previous year, but we are comparing the last year as the previous year, which was where we had severe restrictions and working within lockdown periods as well. The chart on the bottom of 156 really shows the increase to assisting other partners around special service calls, i.e. non-fire related. And then over the page on deaths and injuries, and as we all know, one death and one injury is one too many, but we are below on comparison previous year, and we are below on target. And we are working and pushing papers through our public service board as the number of fatalities that we've had may have been known to another agency. So we're making sure that we are working with other partners and other agencies. And whilst our home safety check, make sure that our firefighters check for other risks whilst they're in the home, we're working with other partner agencies to ensure that they could do that when they have the point of contact as well. Therefore, making sure every contact we have makes those people safe within their homes. And then over the page on 158, Chair, we have the performance figures there around percentage of dwellings, fires confined to the room of origin, and we all know the complexities and variants that go into that statistic as well. Happy to take any questions.
Any members, any questions? Steve?
It's only a question more about that. Have we got any staff shortages due to the COVID situation? And does that impact on our operational awareness?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. We are seeing an increase in COVID cases across the service over the last, or from last week to this week. I guess that's a reflection of where we are with the transmission across our communities. To date, I'm thankful for the dedication and commitment of all our crews. We have maintained our operational capability and capacity with every appliance and every station being available as and when it should be to date.
Okay, thank you. David?
Just a step forward for the last question. With the new IBID and changes being made by Welsh Government, what changes do you anticipate to make for our staff? I understand the firefighters have to be on call. That they're an emergency service and do a fantastic job. But in regards to our staff who are not frontline?
Yeah, so we've made sure as a team and keep members updated like we did through the previous wave of the pandemic and the different restrictions that we've been working on. We've made sure that we're constantly in step with government. So when schools have been in school, we've made sure that our fire cadet programs are running. When we've been under more stringent restrictions, we've made sure that we've mirrored that as well. So there is a critical instant team meeting on Wednesday where we will consider the latest government advice, which is might change over the next few days as well. But it looks like the message around working from home will be reinforced. We continue to do that, and we've continued to where we can, certainly in a workplace setting. Whilst the tier 0 didn't require it, we maintained the 2-metre social distancing within the workplace where we can. Where you can't, we've made sure that people have been wearing masks. But in a workplace setting generally, 2 metres distancing has been maintained throughout the pandemic to date.
Thank you.
I was just going to say chair then, because I am the chair. Hugh, I'd like to put my thanks on record to all our staff, operational and non-operational, for their care and their duty that they've done through the pandemic. They've been second to none, and I truly mean this. They are. I think we are the best service in Wales of a fire authority. So can you pass my thanks on to every member of staff involved in our service? Thank you, Hugh.
Yeah, we'll do, Chair. And I just echo those words. Without the firm dedication, commitment, and professionalism of all our staff, we would not have been able to do what we've done to date. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I genuinely mean that. So there's no vote on this. This is just reports for information. So yes. We go on to page 17182, the Independent Remuneration Panel. The Independent Remuneration Panel for Wales draft annual report February 22 on page 171. I believe that's gay, right? But this has gone through our own local authorities anyway in the beginning, so we all should be made fully aware of this report.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. So I'll be fairly brief on that because, as you say, members will be fully aware of it. Obviously, under the Local Government Wales measure, the Independent Remuneration Panel of Wales has the powers to determine and review remuneration levels for members, and that's for local authorities and fire and rescue authorities are included within that. They've now published their report, and for 2022-23, the remuneration levels for members of the Fire and Rescue Authority are set out on page 172, and that gives the sort of inflationary uplift from last year. Also attached to the report is Appendix 1, which gives the full details contained within the report on the areas relevant to the Fire Authority members, and the one to draw members' attention to is Section 8 on page 186 of the report, and that's specific around Fire and Rescue Authority members. So I'll pause there, Chair, for any questions.
Thank you, Geraint. Any questions, members? Nope. Brilliant. That's excellent. That's excellent. So we're going to the next item then, 8.3, South Wales Fire and Rescue Authorities assessment. Onto that one. Geraint, you taking that one?
We've got Nick Selwyn and Matthew Brushett from Audit Wales.
I'm sorry. I am sorry. I missed out. 8.2. Sorry. Yes. Go on. Yeah. Carry on. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. I'll be just presenting this one briefly, if I may, and just thank you for the opportunity just to present the certificate today. We're just using this as an opportunity, I guess, just to remind members of our approach and just the requirements we need to satisfy on this. Context of this is the authority has to produce annual assessment of performance by 31st of October each year, and that's required under Section 17 of Local Government Measure 2009. This measure's been repealed for local government bodies, but it still applies to fire authorities, so we're still required to undertake the work at this stage. The criteria we look at just briefly is just that the authority's securing continuous improvement, that it's meeting improvement objectives, showing performance against its measures and performance indicators, and it's meeting performance standards set by Welsh ministers. This work is quite a light touch approach for us. We don't look at detailed compliance, but we look more at whether the assessment has indicated compliance with legislation and just that you demonstrated you referred to the correct guidance. So to do this, we've looked at evidence the authorities meeting the duty to continuously improve, looking at the summary assessment against objectives, looking at a range of performance information and assessment over time and against other bodies, just that it's benchmarking, and any evidence of collaboration. So we use the document what we did in 2020-21 and what we plan to do in 22 to 23. We found the objectives clearly line with wellbeing goals. There's clear comparisons with other authorities and against previous year's performance, good collaboration with partners, including public services boards, and clearly meet the criteria that strategic indicators outline. And the other thing we check is just the report was published on time. So from our point of view, satisfied all the requirements, and we've issued the certificate. And just thanks again, Chair, for allowing us to present this.
No, thank you very much for the certificate. Very much appreciated. Any members got any questions?
No.
No? Brilliant. Okay, well thank you ever so much, and well done to everybody involved. Thank you ever so much. Sorry you were last on the agenda, last but one, but you've listened to our Fire Authority meeting anyway. Thank you ever so much. Diolch yn fawr iawn. So 8.4, which is the forward work programme. Geraint, is that you? Yes.
Chair, the forward work programme is being set out within the pages, with good progress being made against all the items so far this year, including ones on the agenda today. I think there's only one or two amendments just to make, but it's likely that all other reports contained within the forward work programme will be achieved. Just the two amendments. On page 229, the carbon reduction plan is down for this year. They'll actually be presented in July next year, to fall in line because the report came at the beginning of this municipal year. So it's just putting that back in line, in schedule with where it should be. And then in addition to the forward programme is the proposals for the scrutiny group reforms that will be coming to the February Fire Authority. So that's following the reports that have gone to the various committees.
Well, thank you, Geraint. Any member got any questions on that?
No.
Nope. Brilliant. So item 9, to consider any business or urgent. I got no items of business, but I would like to wish every member of the Fire Authority and a Derek Llawen, and I genuinely mean that. And I'd like to put on record that once again, my thanks to senior officers of South Wales Fire and Rescue Service to the support they've given myself and the chair and the chairs of other committees over the past 12 months, because it's been strange ways of working with COVID, and I think they've kept us as members up to date fully on everything. So thank you ever so much, every one of you. I do that. So Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year to every one of you. So all the best, healthy New Year, and hopefully we'll see you all in the next meeting. Diolch yn fawr iawn.